We're back. So my internet went out and it never goes out. And so that really makes me think that I'm about to share something with you that is going to be really powerful for you. Because, you know, the enemy is tricky and sometimes we like to be interrupted. So I think that's interesting. So here's the thing. We're back on track. This is week 2. And we had some people who jumped in over the weekend, and, you know, Saturday is meant to get caught up. So if you need to get caught up on lives, if you're just joining us, Sunday's meant to be a day of rest. And Monday is meant to be your Monday morning motivation. And before you click off of this video, let me tell you, this is the one that you need the most. Because your success is 80% mindset and it's 20% skill. And you have probably heard all of the scripts and all of the tools and all of the facts, but the missing element for you could be right here. And you never know when you're going to hear something that is going to completely change your life. And it was the exact thing at the exact moment that you needed to hear to have a breakthrough. And I know this because it happened to me. And there was a time in my life where I was so broken. I was so depressed. I hardly left the house for a year. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And when you are in a radical place, sometimes you have to make radical changes. And I ended up going to an event and I didn't know what I was going to hear. I was honestly so broken. I was just trying to find a way to live my life again. And I heard one thing that completely changed my life. And it got me living my life again. You know, I remember when my life was a mess and I was depressed. I talked about that. I had a newborn baby. My marriage was falling apart. I moved back home to live with my parents. And I remember sitting in the grocery store parking lot, and I just sat in the car and I cried because I didn't even want to go inside. I didn't even feel strong enough to go inside the grocery store. And life happens. It happens to all of us. Like, I'm not special. I'm not unique. Every single one of you on here has a story, and life will try to take you out and you have to fight back. And I remember in that moment thinking, I can be pitiful or I can be powerful, but I can't be both, and I have to choose. And I chose to take my power back. I chose to fight back. And so if you are in that dark place, you know, you have to work on your mindset. You know, reading will help keep the weeds out. So one of the first places that I started was with a book called Miracle Morning. There's an acronym in there you can do every single morning. It really helps set up your day for success. So that's where I started. I also, like I said, I was in a radical place. I had to make radical changes. When I want to make a change, I want to make a change quickly. And so I paid several $1,000s to go to an event, and I heard that one thing that completely changed my life, and that I'm going to share with you, that I paid a lot of money for, but I'm going to give it to you for free today. So take these Monday motivations very, very seriously, because every single person that's going to share with you each Monday is going to talk about that one thing that helped them take their power back and find success in their life. So, okay, Miracle Morning is the name of the book. I believe the author is Hal Elrod, if you want to find that on Amazon. And reading keeps the weeds out. So if it's not that book, find something that's going to keep you on track. So I want you to grab a pen right now. Grab your pen, and I want you to grab a piece of paper. Okay, grab a piece of paper. It doesn't matter if it's a fancy notebook or a scratch piece. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is low, 10 is high. What level of success do you want? And you know what? I want you to write it down. I also want you to put it in the chat. I want you to put it in the comments. What level of success do you want? 1 is low, 10 is high. I hope we're going to see a lot of level 10s. I know I'm here because I want level 10 success. I hope that's why you guys are in the 6-week sprint. You want level 10 success. We want to help you get that. So I hope we're seeing a lot of 10s. On a scale of 1 to 10, here's the second question. This is a very easy test. 1 is low, 10 is high. I want to know, what is your current level of personal development? Your current level of personal development. I want to see those numbers. If you can drop those in the chat, I want to see what those numbers are. So here, what's my point? My point is if you wrote down that you want level 10 success, but if you wrote down your current level of personal development is at a 4, there's a disconnect there. And you have to bridge the gap, because very rarely will your level of success exceed your level of personal development. Success is 80% mindset, 20% skill. And I'm gonna keep saying it until somebody hears it and it clicks. So right click in the comments if that clicked for you, if you're finally hearing this. It took me a long time to understand this. Don't take the long road like I did. Learn it faster. So if you can really understand this, I promise you, there is nothing that will hold you back in life from getting what you want. I don't care if it's at Remon, if it's on a personal level, if it's in a different, in your physical health, your mental health, your bank accounts, your family life, your marriage. Nothing will hold you back in life if you will really understand this part of it, how powerful the mind is. So I talked about this at conference that we just had in Vegas, and I shared a statistic. I think we've all heard the saying that you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. We've all heard that probably. Type 5 if you've heard that before. So here's what you may not have thought about is they did a study, and what they found is that if you are surrounded, like even just in the workplace, if you're surrounded by a negative person, you will have a 30% reduction in performance from the negative people that you're surrounded with. A 30% reduction from negative people around you. Now, you've heard that before. You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But who is the one person that we spend the most time with? Who's the one person? Put it in the comment. I want to see. Ourselves. We spend the most time with ourselves. What happens if we are one of those 5 negative people? Oh gosh, our performance is going to go down. That's what's going to happen. And you know what's interesting is they have found that the average person thinks between 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, but 95% of those internal thoughts are negative. So if most people, 95% of their thoughts are negative, and we are the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, and we are one of those 5 people, oh boy, like we've got to fix this, because success is 80% mindset. If we can win the battle up here, we can do anything. So you have to take your power back. What do? Let me tell you the thing that I learned at the event that I paid several $1,000s for. Here it is. Okay. Can I see comments? No, it just tells me who's watching. Okay. Oh, Wanda said 10. Perfect. I'm starting to see comments now. Okay, so here's the thing. I was at a Tony Robbins event. It's called Date with Destiny. So put it in the comments if you've been there. If you like Tony Robbins, say me. And I was sitting in this event. His events go very late. The room is freezing. It goes till 3 a.m. We were sitting there, and he was talking about something called the primary question. And so I was like, well, what's that? And he was talking about how he realized that he was asking himself a question every single day, and he didn't even realize he was doing it. And his question wasn't that bad. His question was, how can I make this better? Which is probably why his events are so phenomenal, so over the top. His entire life, he's been asking, how can I make this better on everything? And it was just a subconscious question, and kind of lucky Tony, he was born that way. So he started asking other people, is there a question that you ask yourself every single day? He was asking family and his daughter and friends and coworkers, And it turns out everyone does, but most of the time the questions are very, very negative and very self-destructive. You know, will I be alone forever? Will I ever be successful? Why do I always screw this up? Nobody wants to love me. Nobody wants to hang out with me. You know, very destructive things that we're telling our subconscious. So he was telling the story and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is the question that I asked myself? And isn't it funny how we ask ourselves this question all the time, and I couldn't identify it right away. So I don't know if you have recognized yours yet, but it'll come to you. So I was leaving the event. I was walking back to the hotel. It was 3 a.m. and I'll never forget just stopping dead tracks on the sidewalk. And I realized what my question was. And the question that I had asked myself for most of my life, several times a day, was, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? And the problem with a question like that is when you ask yourself a question, your subconscious will automatically go to work on finding an answer and finding a solution to the question that you ask it. So me asking myself, what's wrong with me? I was telling myself all the things that were wrong with me. And so when you identify, you know, awareness is the first step to change. So when you identify what your question is, now we can change it. And it's not easy at first because this is probably that something is so deep rooted in you, but I promise you can change it because I changed mine. So what I did is when I got home, I realized that was the terrible question I was asking. I had to interrupt the pattern. I had to stop it. The way that I stopped it was by replacing the question with things like, how can I love myself even more today than I did yesterday? How can I be even more present in this moment? I had a hard time being present where I was in the moment. My mind was always somewhere else. How can I find even more success today than I did yesterday? So you want to replace your old question with the new question. I put Post-its up all over my house. They were literally in every room of the house. I put scriptures up all over my house. Jeremiah 29 was everywhere all over my house. I would put affirmations all over my house anytime, quotes, scriptures, anything that would replace the negative with a positive, because I had to interrupt the pattern and it was so ingrained. I had to have reminders everywhere. And you may have to do the same thing, and it's going to be embarrassing when people come over the house because they're like, why are these Post-its all over? But it's worth it. So what happened for me, 6 months after changing my primary question, what happened? I put my marriage back together. My family was back on track. I was more decisive about what I wanted, and I hit the top rank in a previous company. I had been trying to hit that top rank for years and could not do it. 6 months later, after changing my question, I hit that rank. Don't tell me this doesn't work. This works. And sometimes it is so simple, and sometimes we overcomplicate success because we're always constantly trying to sabotage ourselves. So I'm really excited. If you figured out what your question is, if you're brave enough, I told you mine, what's wrong with me? That was my old question. You know what's funny is I rarely think of that question anymore. It rarely filters in. Now, I will say you have to stand guard at the door of your mind. There will be negative, intrusive thoughts that will try to work their way in. In fact, there was one that Grayson actually helped me discover in Vegas. So you never know when you're going to have a breakthrough at an event. And I didn't even realize it was there. It was so sneaky and small. And I am constantly standing guard at my mind and filtering this stuff out. And there was a thought hidden in there. And so I immediately recognized it and I changed it. And so Grayson helped me do it. So thank you, Grayson. You're amazing. Thank you for helping me do that. And this is why events and people that you surround yourself are so powerful, because you never know when you're going to have a breakthrough. And I had another mini breakthrough in Vegas, which is really exciting. So Okay, where are we at? Our words matter. I'll give you another example. So in a previous company, I had told myself for years that I wasn't good at getting customers. I don't know why I would tell myself that. I guess I thought it sounded good, or it was a cop out. I don't know. I really like recruiting and I really love doing the business. That's true. But I wasn't good at getting customers. Well, that's not true. That was just a lie that I was telling myself, and I was allowing myself to believe it. So I got on a training. It was just a Zoom call. This is why you show up to things. You never know when you're going to have a breakthrough. And I had a sideline leader friend who was on there, and she was talking about how she told herself for a long time she wasn't good at getting customers. And then she was sitting there thinking one day, and she's like, well, wait a second. She's like, why not me? Just those 3 words, why not me? And she realized, I can be good at getting customers if I want to be, if I choose to be. And so she decided from that day forward, she was going to be good at getting customers. And you know what? She was one of the top customer getters in the company, which was fascinating. But she was telling that story, and those 3 words changed my life going forward, because then I realized, well, wait a second. Yeah. Why not me? Why can't I be good at getting customers? If I want to, I can. And then I started asking myself the right questions. If I was going to get more customers, how would I do it? What would I do? Who would I talk to? And I started asking the right questions around getting more customers. And you know what happened is that month that I heard those 3 words, why not me? I had been with the company for several years, had worked my way up to like 2,000 in customer sales, which was, I was so happy with that. And the following month, I went from 2,000 in customer sales to almost 10,000 in customer sales. All because I started asking the right questions. How would I get more customers? What would I do? And if you can't picture yourself doing this, I talked about this in Vegas. It's called the power of objectivity, where it's, maybe you can't see yourself getting more customers. So you're like, okay, if, who's really good at getting customers? If Kimberly Weimer was going to get more customers, how would she do it? I know she's on the top 10 list. If Stephanie Rimko is going to get more customers, how would she do it? She's always on that top 10 list. Just ask yourselves, maybe you want to get an extra 1,000 points in customers. What would they do? So start asking what they would do, and then you can apply it to yourself. So I promise you it works. I'm telling you all from experience. I'm not just telling you, theologically, this is supposed to work from you. I've actually applied it. It does work. So we know that what we need to do can be done in a short period of time. So we just have to stop self-sabotaging ourselves through our questions and our thoughts. But there was actually a study done by Forbes where they interviewed the top Fortune 500 CEOs and asked them how much time do they spend working on their top initiatives. And this was the most interesting part. So these Fortune 500 CEOs who are paid multi-millions of dollars a year with stock options spent 60 to 90 minutes a day working on their top initiatives. That's it. Does that surprise you? I want to hear. Are you guys surprised hearing that? I was surprised hearing that. You would think they would spend hours working on their top initiatives. So here's my point. You can be as effective as top Fortune 500 CEOs in this 6-week sprint. You can be as effective as them if you will focus on your top initiatives for 60 minutes a day. I promise you, we're trying to make this as easy as we can on you. What are our focus? What's our focus? Asking the question to 2 people a day. Do they know about K-Beauty? Are they open to getting on a Zoom? Have they tried Korean skincare? Are they open to trying it? Just asking 2 questions a day, inviting people to either the Opportunity Zoom or the Glow Up, checking in with your partner. All of this can be done in 60 minutes a day, and demoing the skincare on 2 people a week. That can be done in 60 minutes a day. And so watch what happens to your business. I mean, look at those Fortune 500 CEOs with their paycheck, what happens on their paycheck, just because they're focused for 60 to 90 minutes a day. Now, here's the thing. They also have done a study that if you are in a focused work mode and you get interrupted, it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back into that flow state you were just in. So make sure you have it scheduled on your calendar. Like, do everything you can do. Go work in the closet if you need to, just to get that focus, uninterrupted time. Now, it's not just people that are going to interrupt you. Our phones are meant to distract us. So the very thing that you're supposed to be working on is also going to try to distract you. There was a study done that said that the Americans check their phone an average of 144 times a day. That's a lot, 144 times a day. I call my cell phone my Goliath. It is meant to try to destroy me. It helps me because it grows my business, but it's also trying to distract me and destroy me. And so most people, what do first thing in the morning? They're like half asleep and they roll over and they grab their phone and they're immediately being sucked into TikTok or the scroll or responding to text messages or email. That is not how you want to start your day. So there was I love studies. If you haven't noticed, I love to train in terms of studies. And there was a study done that said that if you will avoid your cell phone for the first hour of the day, that you will be 70% more productive that week. 70% increase in production just by avoiding your cell phone the first hour of the day. So I know you're tempted to roll over and grab it, but there's a difference between you being reactive in the morning and reacting to the world and what they're trying to distract you with, and being proactive in what you choose to fill your well with first thing in the morning. You taking that proactive measure the first hour of your day will increase your productivity 70% that week. So instead, grab Miracle Morning. Instead, have your quiet time, do reading, do self-development, do your prayer time, whatever you want to start your day with. You want to work uninterrupted, right? Because it takes us 23 minutes to get back into that flow state. So I highly recommend turning on your focus mode so that you don't get those distractions coming back in. And then just be intentional with your schedule. Treat this like a job, okay? Schedule your 30 minutes in the morning if that's when you want to work, your 1 hour at lunch or your 1 hour at night. Schedule it in your calendar and don't let yourself out of it. So I thought this was interesting. When we were in Vegas, we were talking about some famous failures. And I don't know if you guys know who Mr. Beast is. I feel like he's all I hear about because I have a 10-year-old that loves him. But what was interesting to me is when I found out that Mr. Beast had uploaded, so he's a giant YouTube creator. If you don't know who he is, multi-millionaire. He's one of the top earners on YouTube, like in the top 10 or 20. But he had uploaded 455 videos. 455 videos. That means working for over a year with a video a day before he went viral. And how many of us would have given up like after 50 videos, after the first 10 videos? We're like, this isn't working. How many of us would have given up? And here's another interesting story. So Danny Bay, we all know Danny, he's the president of Remon. And what you may not know is that his first year in network marketing, it took him 9 months to earn his first $58. His first $58 took him 9 months. And so I don't know what kept him going, to be honest. I think that first year he earned a little over, I think he earned $328 that first year. And the only difference between people like Danny or Mr. Beast is they kept going when most people would have quit. How many of us would have quit at the 15th video, or would have quit 6 months in to our network marketing thinking this isn't working for me? But they kept going because they kept working on this and their mind was stronger than what was happening around them. They convinced themselves to keep going. And so sometimes we tend to overcomplicate success, and sometimes it's just a matter of the consistency and to keep going and keep focusing on your goals. So here's what I want you to do coming out of this. I want you to bridge the gap on that personal development scale. So we went level 10 success, but maybe you were a 4 or a 6 or a 5 on your personal development. We have to bridge that gap. So I want you to work there. I want you to choose something that's going to focus on your mindset. Maybe it's Miracle Morning. It can be John Maxwell, Tony Robbins. It could honestly be Ed Milet, Diary of a CEO. Love him. Anything that's going to work on this and keep you on track. Stay off your cell phone the first hour of your day. Have that uninterrupted time, and you will be claim you're 70% more effective. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to recognize what are the questions that you ask yourself on a what was I trying to say there? On a daily basis. That's what I was trying to say. You know, what I've done is I have really stretched myself with a goal that is a little bit scary. And so the question that I formed around that is now on the home screen of my cell phone. So every time I open up my phone, I see a question there, and it challenges me, but it gets my brain thinking. And it has me start formulating answers to try to solve the problem to the question that's on my phone in a good way. So I hope this helped you. I'm so sorry for the tech issues we had at the beginning. I will make sure that this is pinned under the featured announcements. It will also be under the guides. Tag your team members on here who need to hear this, who need to work on this, because don't forget, success is 80% mindset, 20% skill. So happy Motivational Monday, and we'll talk soon.